I'm your host, Chris Bogue, and this is my show on LinkedIn Live, where I have conversations with cool people who will help you work more creatively. Today, my guest is Melissa Gaglione. Melissa, welcome to the show. Please introduce yourself and let my audience know where on the internet they can find you.
All right. Hi, everyone. You can find me on the internet on LinkedIn. And so my name is Melissa Gaglione. I am an account executive at Deal, which is the fastest growing SaaS company in history.
No big deal. No big deal. I didn't even intend for that to be a pun, but here we go. Cool. Yeah, everybody go check out Melissa. And if you don't know me, my name is Chris Bogue. So I am the host of this show. It is conversations about how to sell yourself, how to monetize your creative skills. And if you want to find me, you can find me on LinkedIn as well. Just type in Chris Bogue. Go ahead and ring my bell. Make sure you get updates for every time I put new content out there every single week. And you can also find episodes of this show on Spotify. Just look up Chris Sells His Soul. Today, we are going to be talking about on-camera personality. Melissa is here because she has a fascinating backstory as well as an impressive sales background. So we've got a whole lot of questions for her today. But before I ask her anything, I want to hear from you. So if you are watching this live on LinkedIn or YouTube or Facebook or wherever you listen to this program, leave us a comment. Jump in with your comments. Say hi. We're going to try to answer questions throughout the show. So if you have any questions for me or Melissa, throw them in the comments. Also let us know where you're watching this from. Because if you don't comment, how are we supposed to know if you're here? We can't know that, right?
I have no idea.
Yeah, so Chuck, I see you out there. And Melissa, welcome. So you are on this show for a reason. Namely because you do a similar thing that I do, which is sell a course on video for sales. And if that isn't niche enough for you, audience, like me, Melissa does video for sales because she learned a bunch of video skills outside of sales. And those are the techniques that she learned that helps bring her success in sales. So we're going to be talking with her today about the different influences she had, the different training she had that helped her achieve her goals in sales on video. And I'm also going to be sharing some of my backstory because I think half the audience doesn't realize that I did some TV work and stuff too. But yeah, Melissa, you have worked a number of jobs in your life before you became an account executive at Deal. Can you just walk us through the different roles that you've had throughout your career?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Went to college for elementary education. And I was an elementary school teacher for a couple of years, first, third, and gifted students. And then I was like, I've always wanted to be on the news, but really I've always wanted that. And when I went to college, my strict Italian father told me I couldn't be a news reporter, so I had to be a school teacher. So after a few years of me being out in the field as an educator, I said, you know what, I'm going to bet on myself, and I'm just going to go be an on-air news reporter. Went to night school, made demo reels, and landed a job as an on-air news reporter. And then I decided that this was not the dream that I really wanted, and it wasn't really the reality that I wanted. So I needed to make another change, and I ended up falling into sales. And I was really scared, like terrified to go into sales. I thought, I was just a teacher and I was just a news reporter, and I didn't really think that I'd be that great at it. But it's really fun. And I learned that all I'm doing is just teaching people about my product, and I'm educating them through visual storytellings every single day. So it's a really beautiful balance that, you know, being an educator and an on-air news reporter has made me into I think, a pretty good sales lady today.
I gotta ask, what was it about the news media that was unfulfilling? Because I know a lot of people out there watch TV and they're like, I could be a news personality. That looks like fun. And then you ask them about doing sales, and they're like, I would never want to do sales. I hate that. So, what was it that made sales more appealing than being a news personality?
Obviously money. Like, let's be real. I was making minimum wage as a news reporter, hustling all hours of the night. If there's a fire or something like that, like just always being on call, not really having much of a life. And I realized that, you know, sometimes I work a lot personally. Like, I just have that drive. So I didn't really mind working that much. I didn't mind working that much as a teacher either. But when I had this moment where I couldn't afford an artichoke, and that really bothered me. So that was really kind of like the tipping, you know, piece of it. I was like drowning in student loans. I couldn't really afford to like live, and I needed to make some sort of change. And when I got into sales and realized that, wait, the harder I work, the more money I make, I was like, this is great, because I already work like a horse. So now I can work like a horse and actually get paid for it. So that was really important to me, to get out of debt, honestly. So yeah.
All right, let's talk about a couple things there, because this is so you've brought up another thing that is part of my story that I don't really talk about a whole lot. But I spent a couple years working in education technology sales. So I was
Mhm.
selling to universities. So I like dabbled in the educational world. And like we're gonna talk a little bit more about your course soon, because again, I very rarely meet people who use video prospecting in sales. It is even rarer to find somebody who has released a course on video prospecting, you know? So it's like the 1% of the 1% of the 1%. So we're going to get deep on that. But a big reason why I'm out here is because I think education is in trouble.
Hmm.
And I was working really closely with these college professors, having to like program like what's going into their syllabus and their assignments and how they plan their lectures. And education cannot keep up with how quickly the world is moving. You know, kids today aren't learning from textbooks, they're learning from Google like the rest of us.
Mhm.
So yeah, I'm interested. So you can take the woman out of news broadcasting, but you can't take news broadcasting out of the woman, right? So, how did that play a part in your sales role? Was there a time like did you know right off the bat you're like, oh, I did news broadcasting, so I could just do that in sales, or was there a point where you had to like discover that you could apply those skills in a different context?
I totally, and I know the moments too, and I could pin down the exact month as well. And it was the first time that I was actually an SDR. And, you know, I went from selling, you know, corporate events to now at a tech company where now it's a little bit different. And I was, you know, doing the numbers, I was calling everybody, doing the emails, everything, and it just wasn't converting for me. And I had to take a step back, and I saw other people doing really well. And I was like, why, what is it about me? Like, why can't I book these meetings? Like, why aren't I hitting quota? Like, what's going on here? I'm doing what they're telling me to do, but it's just not converting. And I was working like crazy. And I was like, you know what? Like, let me just kind of think about my skills here. And I was like, so what do I have? And then what do I don't have? And I really did. I sat down and I made a list of the things that I've got. Like, what do I have going for me? And the way that I can like connect I think on camera, how I can get to know people asynchronously, how I can display and show and walk people through and teach. Like that is where I thrive. And so I wasn't booking any meetings, but I booked my very first meeting in SaaS sales by sending a cold video. And at that moment, I was like, this is what I can do. And this is way more fun too. But I was like, this is what I can do. And that's how I got my quota. That's how I was hitting quota. That's how I became an AE very quickly into an enterprise role. I was able to scale up that quick. And it's primarily because I was able to use the skills that I have instead of focusing on the skills that I didn't have and leaning on those while I built up those other skills, while I got better at cold calling, while I got better at the emails, while I got better at everything else. So, that was my moment. So lean on what you got and then keep building the other skills along the way.
Yeah, this is something I'm trying to teach B2B as a world. I'm like, hey, if you've got someone who is like a legendary email writer and they want to do everything through email, I'm fine with that. That's great, but there's a certain type of person who is really good on video, and your team already has this person. And if you just had a process to follow, if you had expectations for who should get a video or how often they should be sending videos or when they should send videos, that person could step up and do that more easily than other people on the team could, And for me, I had this, a lot of it happened during COVID. So it was like, for me, I realized that I was able to make this very personal connection with people on video, because cold calling is oftentimes, it's about being like smooth and about like asking an unexpected question, and you almost gotta, there's a little bit of pushiness and aggressiveness where like, even the people I know who do it best kind of push their way through the first couple things of what the other person is saying and like find a way to get their pitch out. I found on video I could be quieter and I could be softer than I ever had before. And I could be more patient. And there was something about selling to these institutions, some of them Ivy League, some of them, schools that I never would have been able to get into as a student. Working with some of like the top professors in the country. And they're telling me that they can't get their students to pay attention. They can't get their students to read the book. I'm looking at this person and their camera shot looks like garbage. They're not looking in the right place. They've never been trained to make things for the YouTube generation. And I'm like, you know what? I think the way people consume information has changed. And B2B SaaS just has not caught up to it yet. So
100%.
My question to you is you figured out your system on your own, right? Or did you have somebody who taught you? Okay, yes. So what are you doing today that you were not doing when you started? Or was there any habits you started out trying something and you're like, nope, that doesn't work, and then you changed it to like, I'm curious how people refine their process when they didn't have somebody helping them build it.
Still constantly refining, because the rules keep changing. Our attention span keeps changing. So you have to be on top of it. In the beginning, it was just a raw clip that I was sending over LinkedIn, just me. And especially in the beginning, I was like, hi, I'm Melissa and I work at Live Person and I'm here to talk to you about, this. And it was all about me. And so that needed to change 100%, because even though in the beginning, yes, it was helping me book meetings, for sure it was working, but the story needed to change. And so when I started to really evaluate what it was that I was doing, it kind of went from being this, let me just send this video of just me talking, to, okay, let me start telling a compelling story, a research-driven story. And I took it back to news reporting, where I said, okay, I used to build these packages right? A package is a news story. It's got to be under 3 minutes, 90 seconds usually. And that package is telling a story, a visual story that's going to bring the audience from the beginning of what the problem is or what is happening, because we always start with the hook, and then telling them that story that it actually makes sense in such a short amount of time. So I started to then make my videos in that format, just like a news reporter, just as I was doing, as what I knew what to do. So then it became this, research driven story where I said, okay, if I'm going to reach out to someone, I need research. I need credibility. Let's go back to journalism school. What did I learn in that time frame? And I would start to identify these buying triggers that I like to call external factors. So, what can I identify from the outside of a company that leads me to believe that they're experiencing X problem? That leads me to believe that that problem can be solved by this solution. And so when I would tell these compelling visuals, it's almost like I had the lower thirds pop up and all the things, and I would have it show and be like, hey, your sales team, this is tough, but it was like, your sales team is reporting that they're missing quota consecutively, or, I called your customer service and I was on hold for 12 minutes. That hurts when you're hearing that, if you're that persona that's hearing that. So leading with the problem and then telling this visual story of, let me show them the reviews. Let me show them their customer experience. Let me show them that as I'm talking, I'm putting videos over what I'm saying, of me sitting there getting mad for a customer rep to answer my phone call. I would then start taking these and start building out bots so I could say, hey, this is what you're doing. This is what you can be doing, and showing a side by side. So, I started really getting into this and really telling compelling stories to the point where I said, I'm only sending these to enterprise C-suite. And that's what I did. And I kept booking meetings with large enterprise accounts in the C-suite with these really strong, compelling videos that were these mini news stories. So it took me time to get there. And now, as an AE, I'm highly focused on, how do I leverage video throughout my sales process? What do I need to say to get this person to really feel that deal is the best option for them? What do I need to show them? So now I'm working a lot on refining that process, how to do it, after a demo, after a disco, when you're in pricing negotiations. So it's a constant refinement of just practicing, learning, rewriting, going back to the script, watching my videos over and over again, and then seeing what's hitting, what's resonating, what's not, and then adjusting accordingly. So it's an experiment, but it's like my hobby. It's fun.
Yeah, well, and like the news, it has to be going all the time, right? Whenever new information is ready. So this is actually a great time to segue to our next segment, Gimme Gimme. Melissa Gaglione, you want to do Gimme Gimme?
Yeah.
Sweet. Okay, cool. So this is the part of the show where my guest and I like to dispel a popular piece of misinformation that I see on LinkedIn. So some people say the point of LinkedIn is just to educate, is to make friends that'll last a lifetime and make people's day a little bit brighter. But on this show, we know that LinkedIn is the only social network that was created to make money. That's right. The whole point of LinkedIn was for you to share your professional credits so you could get higher paying jobs and higher paying clients. So once every episode, I like to pop into character, and my guest and I take a moment to ask my audience for exactly what we want from them. So Melissa, you ready to do this?
I'm
All
ready.
right, here we go. Hello! Boss Bogue here with another episode of Gimme Gimme, the part of the show where I ask you for money. Melissa Gaglione! You have my audience here. They're on LinkedIn, which means they've got money. What are you asking them for?
I am asking you to buy my video prospecting course.
Right there. Take out your phone.
It's on
Take
sale.
out your phone, everybody. Take out the camera, switch it to camera, put the camera on the QR code right there. Sorry, Melissa. I had to explain it to them in case they didn't know how a QR code works.
Totally.
What do they get? What's the course like?
Oh, okay. So it's exactly like that. So I teach you how to video prospect like a journalist. It's everything that I've worked on. It is my, how I've built it out, how I've created these videos. But keep in mind, they're for your C-suite. They're for your best deals. They're for your tier 1 accounts. This is not something that you're going to do for every single account that you have. It's going to teach you how to be good on camera and how to write scripts and how to present. But the research piece is for your top tier accounts.
Yeah, your top tier accounts. The ones that you send garbage spam emails to right now. Yeah, those are the people that should be getting the video. If it's a VIP account that's going to get you halfway to your quota, you are insane if you don't send them a video. How much does the course cost right now, Melissa?
It is on sale for $50.
What? That's absolutely nuts.
Yeah.
If you don't go buy Melissa's course right now, you're a nutcase. Want to know why? Because I go out there every day and I coach B2B people how to do sales, and none of them know how to do it. All right? Every single one of you out there that has a SendSpark account or a Vidyard account, I know you're making 5 videos a month, tops. All right? Better make them good. $50 is going to go a long way. Get Melissa's course, and you know what? Why not get my course too? Mine is actually the exact opposite of that, right? I don't deal with any sort of on-screen visuals. I teach anybody how to make them short, to the point, and professional looking, right? You can take the entire course with just your phone, because I got news for you, folks. You are not facing a technological problem right now. We all have HD cameras in our pockets, right? The camera that you need to revise is this one right up here in your head, okay? You are blocking yourself from getting on video. Your feelings about yourself are preventing you from getting out there and making money on video. So get the course at chrisbogue.io. We're going to be watching an infomercial for that right now. But before we do, Melissa, do you have anything else you want to ask my audience for?
Yes, I have a yacht party. It's a sales B2B yacht party in Tampa, Florida. Bunch of creators are going to be flying down for it. It's going to be great. I've got tickets for that too. That is not for profit. We are trying not to lose money. So come to the party. It's going to be great.
Yeah, come party. This has been Gimme Gimme. Iggy, roll the tape.
Hello?
Is this Mr. Sherber?
It sure is. What can I help you with, brother?
Hello. You were not expecting this call. Do you have 17 seconds to
Hang
learn
on a
about
second.
mercifully short?
Is this a cold call?
I don't know.
You. Never call this number again.
Oh no! Another unsuccessful cold call. You probably don't have time to fuck off.
I got a quota to hit.
Are you spending hours every week cold calling and cold emailing but not seeing results?
There's gotta be a better way.
Introducing the complete guide to selling on video. Whether you're new to sales or a President's Club member, this fast and fun course will teach you to efficiently create short, customized videos that get results. The complete guide to selling on video is not sold in stores. Visit chrisbogue.io and use promo code GimmeGimme to take $50 off while supplies last. Don't delay. Get noticed today.
And we're back. So that was Gimme Gimme. Thanks for doing that, Melissa. And yeah. So,
I should start doing that on my negotiation calls.
a terrible 90s infomercial?
Yeah, it's great.
You know what? So now we're going to get a little bit more actionable here in the second half of the show, right? Because anybody who's listening to this, like I said during my screaming rant, everybody out there has an HD camera. Everybody out there could, in theory, make a high quality video. Very few of them actually do it. And I think people do not know who they are. on camera. I feel like, especially whether it's LinkedIn or whether you're doing sales, there is this thought that like I have to go be a professional salesperson. And in practice, that's just a person who speaks very artificially and who uses words like synergize, that nobody ever actually uses. It's like people feel they got to use all these buzzwords. And I have found that really just trying to go out there as like disarmingly human really helps a lot. And there's a reason why you just saw an insane infomercial, with me screaming in character at the audience, is because I've actually discovered that going out as alternate personas works really well. Like that infomercial we watched has sold a few $1,000s worth of courses for me, And so it's like, if it's easier to get people on LinkedIn to remember what my course is and where to buy it and how much it costs by going out there in the format of an infomercial, I'm going to do it, And my question to you is like, what's the difference between Melissa, the on-camera news personality, and Melissa, the account executive? Or is there a difference?
I mean, there is, because I was quite different when I was on air. I was actually really afraid to be myself because I am bubbly, and I did have, especially when I was first trying to get on air, there was a news producer that refused to hire me because he said my eyebrows moved too much. And it's just because I make faces. It's just
Italian, you talk with your hands.
Yeah, that was hard. Like learning how to keep my hands on the desk was very hard. I felt as though that like I wasn't really like myself. And in sales, it did take me a little bit of time to eventually feel that I can be myself, that I didn't have to be this super serious, kind of super stoic person, because that isn't who I am. I'm very goofy and like, I don't know, I like to have a lot of fun and enjoy these like deep conversations and really get to know people. And like, that's the teacher side of me, right? So it took me time to step out of that and to just be like, you know what, I need to sell like me and just be me. And it's all going to fall into place because I can't pretend to be this like almost like this New York City like kind of gal. Like I describe that because my sister is also in sales and we're just so different in many ways, but also she is cute and funny and adorable as well. But so it did take me that time to do so. And then teaching Melissa, when I was a teacher, I was even less of myself because of all the pressures to have your kids perform. And I felt as though I couldn't even be the teacher that I wanted to be because I had to be so serious, even in a third grade classroom. So as an AE, I do feel as though that like this is the most I've ever been myself. I feel the most confident in myself today and can really be who I am very naturally. And I try not to overthink about it, like, oh, did I answer that question wrong? Or was I like too like giggly in the beginning on the beginning of that call or, things like that. But, if you're yourself, people are going to start to like you, or, I think that like, if you are yourself, people see that. And then, there's also, AE Melissa, but then there's also like yoga Melissa.
Ooh.
Yeah, yoga Melissa is fun. I also am very big on like helping and mentoring and women empowerment. So I'm the girl that my friends call for a pep talk. I am not the person to tell you that life sucks. So like only call me if you need optimistic shit. Like don't call me if you want to be sad. I'm not going to be sad with you because I'm way too hype and like excited. So I can be annoying in that sense where if you want to pout, I'll tell you, no, everything's great. Like, don't worry. Like I'm one of those. And there's all these different sides to all of us, but it is important that you do show who you are, and you show who you are on and you show who you are you show who you are on video as well, because it does come through.
Yeah. Yeah, that's something I'm trying to teach people, is that like, and it's interesting too. I've mentioned on other episodes that like I trained at Chicago's Second City, which is like a place where a lot of the writers from Second City go on eventually to like Saturday Night Live. And the whole Chicago approach to sketch comedy is you are tapping into something that's real about yourself and just exaggerating it a little bit. And the infomercial is an example of that. There's a nervous version of me who's sitting there waiting for the cold call to pick up, and it's just like me a little bit more vulnerable and a little bit more nervous than I normally am. And then there's a version of me with like this ridiculous wig and a sherbet cone and like a 90s rainbow behind me. And that's Mr. Sherbert, who his thing is like he teaches everybody about like positivity. And he's always just on the verge of snapping. Like he's just always like full of rage, just bubbling under the surface. And so like, yeah, that's me when I'm just in a terrible mood and just like, exaggerated times 10, And I realized that it's like, oh, when you reach out to a prospect who knows nothing about you, they're not even going to read your entire email. They're gonna skim through half of it, and you probably got to follow up a few times because that's just how it goes. Like I have to follow up with my mom sometimes, because like we both make a lot of phone calls. That's how life goes. So somebody isn't gonna get the full message when you send them this big long explanation of what you do. I'm a big fan of like they're gonna get your vibe. And if you show up in their inbox just a little bit more professional than everybody else, or a little bit more curious about them than everybody else, or a little bit more knowledgeable about their company and their company values and their company goals than everybody else, that's what they remember. And the nice thing about that is like you don't even have to be an impressive person. You have to show up as a supportive person. And like I was a very supportive friend, and I was always the improviser I was never trying to be the star. I always felt that everybody on the scene was funnier than me. So I would try to set them up for the joke where they look good, where they look funny. And that's what I did with you too. You were my guest. So I'm like, oh, what do you do? Oh, you're a newscaster. Let's put you in a newscaster bit and let's like showcase that. And that's my philosophy as a seller too, is like, I'm going to treat my audience like they're intelligent, and I'm going to come interested in them. I'm going to come curious to them. And I want to set them up to look smart. I'm not calling and telling jokes. Like I'm telling jokes in the news feed because I got to stop the scroll and I got to get people, I got to surprise them and take them to places they didn't think they were going to go before. But I'm not telling jokes to my prospects. I'm not trying to get them to laugh at me. I think it's more powerful if I laugh at their joke. If we get done with the conversation and they feel like the funny one, that's when I've really done my job, and it's just showing up, being interested in them. So like, how often are you making these? Let's actually talk into like the creation process. You get wind, there's some big account that got transferred to you, right? And so we should talk about this towards the end of the show, because somebody's like, is there a Chris and Melissa where we get both the courses for one cost? Yes. I come up with that in a moment. But yeah, someone hands you an account, right? And they're like, hey, this is a big account. This is important. We're transferring this over to you. We want you to contact them by tomorrow. Take me through from research to shooting to sending, how much time and work are you putting into that video?
Depends on how much time I have in my day, truthfully. First, I need to evaluate, like, all right, is this my number one priority? Is it not? I do need to measure it first and make sure that I have the amount of time. I do like to look at my time and then decide how much time I want to spend on a task. Otherwise, I get sucked in. I'm a little very ADHD. I get sucked in a task, so I need to time everything that I do. So from start to finish, let's say I give myself an hour. I think that is more than enough time, and that is a very detailed video, like super research driven. Where, all right, let's start it off with first, I need to, do we have enough time for this? First, I need to know if we've ever communicated with this account before. Is there history with us? Have we ever reached out to them, a meeting, anything like that? Completely cold. Maybe nobody has ever sent an email to this account ever. That I'm going to go the route of let's start to really dig in and research. If somebody at your company has, you want to look to see who have they spoken to, what is the engagement like, what is the channel that typically hits for that type of account. You need to understand the channel you're going to send your video into, because that's number one, is how you're going to deliver that information, what channel you're going to use. So let's start researching. First, I need to understand and start mapping out the account. Let's take a look and start seeing what pains they're experiencing. I'm identifying these things called external factors, these triggers, as to why I'm going to reach out to that account. So I'm looking to see, there's a few different examples we can go with this. Let's stick with payroll here, because that's what I'm selling right now, selling global payroll. So right from here, I'm going to look to see, all right, how many locations do they have? Do they have, 8 different locations around the world? Okay, are any of these locations really complex? Okay, let's see. Italy, very complex place. France, super complex place to run payroll. Absolutely. Usually everyone's pain is France, let me tell you that. And so once I start to see some of those triggers, now I'll pull in and start looking at like Glassdoor reviews. Do they have too many payroll managers? Are they behind on payroll? Are employees complaining that they don't get paid timely? I'm trying to find this evidence as to what pain they might be experiencing. And truthfully, if I can't find that evidence, they might not be experiencing that pain. They might not. But I'm digging, I'm researching, I'm trying to find this. And ideally, I want to spend about 15 minutes on this. Now I'm going to start digging into the person, because I don't just send a video to everybody. I want to send it to you, like the specific person. So who is going to listen to me? Who's going to be compelled? Who's going to make that change? So I start to now research at the individual level. Who is impacted by this? Users are impacted by this. Employees are impacted by this. Leadership is impacted by this, right? So let me take a look and see out of which one of these pockets, who can I find that seems to really care about this? Start digging on LinkedIn, start researching, start pulling that information, the account name, payroll, start researching on Google, things like that I can find. And once I start to see on someone's LinkedIn profile, or maybe in a podcast, that they're growing globally, they're expanding, they're doing X, Y, Z, whatever it may be, I start to rank my prospects as to who I think I'm going to send a video to. Who do I think is going to be the most compelled by a video that when they watch it, they're going to go, this girl is reading my mind. She knows the pain I'm experiencing. Spend about 15 minutes on that. Once I rank them and I kind of know who I'm going to go after, it's time for me to identify their channel of choice. Is it LinkedIn? Is it email? Is it Twitter? Should I cold call them and then follow up with a text message in my video? What's the best way? What's the best channel for me to reach out to this person? And so you start to dig in, and maybe I see that, on email, I might want to send a test email first, right? Truthfully, because I want to make sure that it's going to hit their inbox and that they're going to open it. Then maybe I'll follow up with a video. My favorite is always going to be LinkedIn, because once we're connected, I can send them a raw video clip, or I can send them a video there. Since I only have 24 hours in this scenario, I can't really like buffer them up a little bit before. So it sounds like we're just going to go right in with the video for this specific example, but I do encourage people to at least test these channels of choice first, so that way you know how to make your video for it. But let's say that we're going to do it through LinkedIn. Now it's time for me to write a script. I do the same script, 4-step framework. It's kind of memorized in my mind at this point, but it starts off with, what is the problem and why am I reaching out? Sentence 2 is why is this person responsible for fixing this problem? Sentence 3 is now, what would happen if they continue to either go down this route, or what will happen if they make a change? What's the art of the possible? Or of course, the doubt, I'm losing my words here, but you know what I mean. Wrap it up in a CTA with maybe a little bit of like how, or accompany what they experienced a little bit that's similar. It's a little mixy there right now. I'm kind of pulling away from that right now. I'm pulling away from bringing
From like the name drops.
Yeah, I'm pulling away from that right now, because it's just not, everyone's kind of like, it's a little flooded, like, oh, sure, you do that, sure, you do that. So I'm pulling away from that right now. I wrap it up with the CTA, and then I start to layer my evidence. So I pull the screenshots from Glassdoor. I pull the podcast or the videos or the article that I saw that they're growing globally. And I start to tell that visual story that aligns with the script that I've written. And that's quick. It takes me 3 minutes to edit a video. It shouldn't take too long. So in that time frame, that's an easy hour. And then you send it. You want to make sure that I am big on, if you're using SendSpark, which obviously I think you and I are both pretty.
Yeah, we're both SendSpark advisors for anybody at home.
We love it. So what I like about it the most is I was doing all of my thumbnails on Canva manually. I do like that SendSpark. I can make my own custom thumbnail there, and I can put their logo there, things like that. But especially want it to look very like YouTube-y, like my channel, like those things where you show the prospect's face, or you put their company, you put the time constraint at the bottom, and you can go ahead and send it in that channel that you've identified is their channel of choice, which again could be LinkedIn, Twitter, email, whatever that may be. So that's how I go about it.
Interesting. Yeah, I've been like experimenting recently with like super low pressure CTAs. Call to action, by the way. We keep saying CTA. To any of my audience who doesn't recognize that, it's call to action. Usually like prompting a person to set a meeting with you, but not always, And yeah, I always did a similar kind of flow. Like, here's what I noticed about you is typically what I start with. Here's what I notice you. Here's what I assume you might be going through, or here's what your reps on LinkedIn or something are saying. So like, does it make sense for us to chat? Like, here's what I'd like to chat with you about. I use the word you a lot. And yeah, like I admittedly through most of my video prospecting time, my call to action was like, hey, let me know if you'd be open to chat further about this. And also let me know if you wouldn't be willing to chat further about this. That's totally fine if this is something that's not in your wheelhouse. Just let me know either way. I actually found that was really effective. And I actually got more responses to that than something more low touch. And yeah, it's kind of hard to like, I mean, obviously I made a course about this. So it's like, the course is 2.5 hours long and I go through a lot of different circumstances. And like, to me, the channel of choice is always like, can I get someone else in the organization to share it with them? In sales, you call it a champion. And that's oftentimes my move is like, I get in good with the champion. And then I'm like, okay, I know this other person is going to be necessary to make the decision. What can you tell me about them? What are they working on right now? Because that's my whole thing is like that other person, if I don't know what their boss is mad at them about, it's probably not going to happen. Like, if I can't make whatever I'm selling line up with the other things, like their other priorities that they need to be doing, it's just not going to happen, you know? And then I
Right.
can pivot once they've given me more information. I can be like, well, Melissa, how about this then? I'll go ahead and make an intro video just introducing myself. And would you be willing to forward that on to them to see if they'd be open to learning more? And it's like, I do that because if I can get someone on their, domain putting that in, if I can get that shared in Slack, if I can get that in internal channels, my whole philosophy is like virtual me can be there making my case in these channels where typically I'm not allowed, and in that case, it's like, I'm not going for a sillier version of me. I'm going for speech team kid. I was a speech team kid. That's another one of my personas. It's like, speech team champion, going to state and nationals and stuff like that, where it's like, yeah, you got to go up there and just deliver the message with poise and confidence, a little bit of showmanship. But it's more just like, hey, I'm reaching out because here's what I know you're working on. I know that this is a priority to you, and so is this, and so is that. And that's why I think it makes sense for us to meet,
Yes.
What do you say to people who say that they are not, either that they are, I guess we can separate these. I want your take on both of them. What about, we don't sell to video people? Hey, my prospect, you know what, Melissa, maybe it works for you because the people you sell to like getting video. I work for a very sophisticated company, and we sell to wealthy executives who don't like video. They don't want to take the time to watch video. They prefer email, just cold text emails. So no thanks, we'll never do. That's not the type of person we sell to. Have you ever heard this objection?
Yeah.
What do you say to that?
Of course. I tell them you're losing money, but that's fine by me. If you don't want to make money, that's your problem. I think that deep down, people just kind of get scared to send videos, truthfully. I think they get nervous. They don't know how to do it, or they feel a certain way about it. They are creating, that person that you're describing is literally creating their own challenges. They are choosing that story for them. Did they try it? Did they really give it everything they've got? Were they consistent week after week, trying different channels, trying different types of videos, different medium? Were they? Because to me, that sounds like they're putting up a challenge in front of them rather than going after it and trying. I don't see who wouldn't learn from a video. Who isn't watching TV? Who isn't on Instagram or TikTok or whatever it may be? Who isn't learning their little spatula flipping an egg hack nowadays through video?
Well, I just say it's like, hey, everyone's a video person because we're all competing for one screen, right? Mm-hmm. I'm like, you're not even competing with other SDRs and AEs. You're competing with their kids. Their kids are like, Mom, look at this thing. And Mom's like, great, I'm busy, like their own kids can't get the screen time. So you got to show up and like beat their family, and I'm like, rest assured, if you're selling to someone that owns a smartphone, that there's a video person, what about the people who don't think they could ever do video? I know you said you're a person who you don't like to wallow in negativity with people. How do you square that with people who are like, I hate the way I look on video. I hate my voice. I don't like it. It makes me feel uncomfortable. What do you say to people who just don't think they're a quote video person?
Well, it kind of breaks my heart if someone says that about themselves. Mm-hmm. Sounds like we need to do a little bit of deeper work. Because honestly, for me, when I was reporting, in the beginning, I couldn't stand to watch myself. I could not stand it. I hated the way I sounded. I hated the way I looked. I didn't like anything about it. And it put me in a really negative spot. And I I couldn't even learn when I was in that mindset, you know? So it does come with a little bit of self-confidence and that internal work and knowing that at the end of the day, nobody really cares. Nobody's looking that closely at you. Nobody's thinking, oh, her hair looks silly, or oh, he's got a weird beard, or oh, he said that word
Now I'm
wrong, or
thinking about it.
like, but nobody really cares. Like, nobody's really that like, nobody's really doing that to you. Nobody's thinking, oh, he's got a weird voice. Nobody is thinking that. That is you. Again, that blocker, putting that up yourself. So step away from it and just be confident in what it is that you have to say. Because when I was a teacher, you know who kept their hands down? The kids that weren't confident that what they had to share was going to teach the others. So work on that confidence by being really research driven, writing out your script, knowing that what you have to say is going to help that other person on the other side of that screen.
Yeah.
And if you have that, it's going to portray in your video and it's going to show. So stop thinking about the way you look or how you act or what you say and go make some money.
Yeah, I mean, I have a more blunt way of saying it, which is just like, look at how many idiots out there are doing it. I'm like, go watch a prank video on YouTube. Those people are monsters. They're absolute monsters. If some idiot can go out there and just make an ass out of himself and monetize it, why can't you go say something intelligent for 30 seconds? You know, that person is out there making a fool of themselves. If you show up for 60 seconds and you say something intelligent and you say something thoughtful about another person, how could that go wrong? You know, I've been doing the video prospecting thing. God, I mean, next year in a few months, it'll be my 3-year anniversary of being a solopreneur. Prior to that, I was doing it for about a year. Honestly, I think I've had like 1 or 2 people who were rude to me, and it was kind of my fault. It was like, I mispronounced the guy's name, and he's like, nope. And I'm like, well, I screwed up. I should have Googled how to pronounce that, you know. But for the most part, I have found that when you get on video and people reject you, they're usually pretty nice about it. They're like, hey, that was really nice. I really appreciate that, but no thanks. And yeah, that's here we go. We've got the Sona mentions the Dunning-Kruger effect. And yeah, this is a real thing. The Dunning-Kruger effect, for people who don't know, means that people who are incompetent and stupid tend to overestimate how intelligent they are. They're so incompetent that they don't realize that they're incompetent. Whereas the people who are intelligent tend to doubt their own intelligence. They think, oh, because I know something, because I'm good at something, that must mean it's easy for everybody else. That must mean everybody else already knows this. And it's this effect where the people who are smart tend to hold themselves back because they don't feel like they have anything to say. And the people who are just morons are convinced that they're geniuses. So they go up and fill the air up with sound. And yeah, that's kind of the other thing I've noticed too, is I'm a person who believes, like, in sales, you don't need to sell to everybody, right? You just need to sell to enough people to hit your quota. And people sell to people who are like them. So if you're a big jerk, you're going to sell to other big jerks. Like when I was in account management, I knew the sales reps who were big jerks, and they would close accounts with big jerks. And that was just like, that was who they talked to. I also knew women who were very quiet, who were absolute sales killers. You would never hear them. They never wanted to ring the gong. They never wanted to call attention to themselves. They would just be like, oh yeah, I got another one on the board. And they would sell to other quiet, thoughtful people. you know? And like, if you're a techie, if you're somebody who gets all the tech gadgets, you know, the day they come out, because you're an early adopter, you're going to sell to other early adopters, you know? And it seems like Melissa is somebody who you really prioritize doing your homework, doing your research, making an evidence-based case. And that's not everybody out there, but there are some people who they got to see the numbers, they got to have the case, it's got to be worked out, they got to be talking to somebody who shows that they did the work. And if you send a video to a person like that, it's a real smooth process, you know, because they appreciate it. So this is my favorite topic. I could talk about video prospecting forever, but it seems like we are at the time to end the show. So without further ado, for anybody who joined us late, I've got Melissa Gaglione here, account executive at Deal, video selling extraordinaire, video course creator. Melissa, one more time for anybody at home, if they want to go check out your course or if they want to follow your content, how can they find you?
Find me on LinkedIn at Melissa Gaglione. You'll see my course. You'll see the yacht party that I'm throwing in January. And you'll see a bunch of content too. Try to keep up with it, but I do work full time, and it's quite the sale. So I'm working hard. So I'm trying to post as much as I can, but I am a working woman. So
yeah, so check it out. Super cool stuff. Super different approach to video too. She seems to get much deeper into like presenting research visually, and that's a super valuable skill to have, especially anybody out there who wants to dabble in content creation. Visual storytelling skills go a long way. So check out Melissa's course. You can also check out my course, The Complete Guide to Selling on Video. It is fast. It is immersive. I put sketch comedy into it because I'm a psychopath who needs to have like 6 characters in everything I do. So yeah, my course, top to bottom, how do you go out there with the bare minimum technology and go make a splash, drive activity in all aspects of your pipeline. And you know what? Maybe you don't want to buy our courses. That's fine. You can find all the old episodes of Chris Sells His Soul on Spotify or Apple or wherever you get podcasts. Just look up Chris Sells His Soul. You can find all these episodes as the audio only version. And you can also follow me on LinkedIn. Look up Chris Bogue or go to christopherbogue.com for more. So this has been our episode for today. Melissa, thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks for asking me to join. It was really nice.
Yeah. Take care, everybody. We will see you soon. And tune in because I'm live streaming content creation again. So come add to the content creation process